for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Boy, do we have a lot to get to today. A lot to go over. We have some very special guests that are going to be joining us. Joe Walsh, former presidential candidate and former congressman out of Chicago, will be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. So certainly look forward to talking with him. We just had the elections here. So we're going to be going over the elections and the winners, the losers, and the MAGAs that refused to come in studio and do my radio show, and they all got destroyed. I got to be honest with you, that kind of makes me laugh a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. That does make me smile a little bit. We'll talk about that. You could be listening on the Occupy Democrats Network, on the Washington Press Network, on the FM AM dial, on Twitch, on Twitter, on YouTube. We had over 30,000 people watching the show live yesterday, so I'm very grateful to that. And I just want to tell a quick story before we go to our in-studio guest. I want to tell a quick story real quickly. I haven't really done these Twitter spaces or these X spaces very often, but I was invited to do a space last night. And the people that invited me to do it are very nice people, and I agreed to do so. Now, everybody in this space disagrees with my politics, my opinions, whatever the case may be. And what a crap show it turned into, ladies and gentlemen. And I tried, believe it or not, I'm the one that tried to be, mature, and I'm the one that tried to not hurl out insults. But I had about 20 or 30 people that didn't want to hear what I had to say. They just wanted to insult me, insult my show. So, of course, being the person that I am, not being the better man, I guess, I hurled some insults back. And then after like an hour or two went by in this space, I said to myself, boy, I just wasted 2 hours of my time. These are people that are not capable of having a conversation at any level of intellect at all. And they're brainwashed and they're cultists. So they had a problem with me, as a lot of MAGA supporters do, when I said the rally in Vegas the other day felt like a Klan rally. And a lot of people didn't understand why I said that, or they didn't want to hear it. Because listen, people buying Trump Bibles and people buying Trump sneakers for $750, that's very normal, right? Joe Biden supporters are definitely doing that. Of course they're not. So I tried to explain why I made that statement. Not that I feel like everybody that was at the rallies are racist or every Trump supporter is a racist. I don't feel that way. And they just didn't want to hear it. And I had somebody in that chat that was whining to me like Donald Trump whines like a little bitch outside the courthouse, every day, a couple weeks back, of a mean tweet I sent somebody 2 years ago. And I don't even remember this. I didn't even remember the tweet or anything. And I'm thinking to myself, if you have a problem with a mean tweet, how could you support Donald Trump? And I had these people insulting me that do these, Rumble podcast with like 10 listeners. So eventually, I think the last thing I said in the chat, and I was kind of chuckling when I said it, I think you all are in the Klan. And that was that was the last thing I said. And then the guy who hosts this space calls me like an hour later, and he starts cracking up. And he's like, oh, that was great. It was so entertaining. And then in the background, I hear them talking about me. I said, are they still talking about me? He's like, yeah, an hour later, they're still talking about me. These people are so triggered, and these are the same people that call liberals snowflakes. And yet you have people in that chat. Maybe they're still talking about me 12 hours later. I don't know. But these people are so triggered, and they call other people snowflakes. And they're just so upset that somebody said that the rally that took place in Vegas the other day, it felt like a Klan rally and I felt dirty. Hey, guess what? That's my opinion. If you don't like it, you can shove it. I don't care, because you all have crazy opinions, right? Transgenders are going to rape our kids. All the teachers in this country are indoctrinating our children. Joe Biden has Alzheimer's. Donald Trump is the next Messiah. He's going to fix all the problems in this country. Nancy Pelosi's husband was in a gay relationship, and that's why he let that guy into his home. I mean, the conspiracy theories go on and on and on. Dr. Fauci created COVID. But somebody like me says, boy, this feels dirty. Feels like I could be in a Klan rally. And some of it is satire, but they can't handle a comment like that. So much so that they dedicate a space to me and they talk about me even if I leave for hours. These people are the real snowflakes. All right. So I do want to introduce my in-studio guest. I wanted to get that off my chest. She is the former chair of the Nevada Republican Party. She is a former Donald Trump supporter. And even though she's not voting for Joe Biden, she's had it with Donald Trump. And I certainly want to talk to her about that. I want to talk to her about the elections that took place in Nevada last night. Man, there's so much to talk about. You see her all over the tube doing interviews everywhere, MSNBC, really all over the place. So I introduce to you the former Nevada Republican chair and my friend Amy Tarkanian joining us in studio. Amy, it is good to see you. Thank you for being here. How are you?
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And it seems like you've had quite an eventful last few days. But you know what? I'm going to say this. Some people may think that it's difficult. Some people may say, don't go on right now. Things are hot. They may come after you. I'm proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You and I may not always agree, but at least you speak what you believe to be true and what you feel at that moment. And that's something that I think a lot of people are afraid of. And when you say cult, I mean, a cult can be more than just your Donald Trump experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to think the same, if you have to act the same in any scenario, then you probably need to think twice about the circle you're in. So, kudos to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I feel the same way about you because you didn't just walk party lines and support everybody just because they have an R next to your name. And because of that, a few years ago, so many Republicans in this state were attacking you with horrible personal attacks. And I certainly defended you on that. It was
And
horrible.
you know what's so funny is since I actually live in probably not but the most red county in Nevada now at this point, which is Douglas County, I have people coming up to me whispering in my ear, "You are right. Thank you so much. We're sorry you had to go through that." So, people are seeing now, unfortunately, sometimes things take time.
Sure.
But karma does. It comes back. It rears its ugly head, my friend.
It absolutely does. You're 100% right. Before we talk about, the elections that took place last night, what did you make of the Trump rally the other day in Las Vegas? What did you make of the people that were there? What did you make of the things they were selling? What did you make of Marjorie Taylor Greene's comments comparing Donald Trump to Jesus? And then you have Mike McDonald, with his comments that, in regards to Donald Trump. I'm trying to remember the phrase that he used.
But basically, in a nutshell, he was saying we're here to worship him.
Worship. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
What do you make of that and that whole
It's
spectacle?
all very I've actually seen enough to put two and two together that there's something not right. And there's a number of folks who unfortunately, and we can joke and say, oh, you drank the Jim Jones Kool-Aid, but it's like they've drinking the Kool-Aid and their brains have turned to mush. And it doesn't matter what Donald Trump says, they'll repeat it. If he says, oh, this was a sham and it was utter BS, he'll say the full word, and then everyone will respond and repeat and regurgitate exactly what he says. It doesn't matter what he says.
Right.
And so the fact that you even had people leading up to him, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, comparing him to Jesus Christ, that's blasphemous.
It is.
And for his followers not to understand that whether if they're religious or not, you don't go there.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you can see memes on social media of Jesus portrayed as overlooking Donald Trump and, saying, oh, he was once convicted too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what, though? Jesus may have been convicted, but he also wasn't a felon.
That's also very
His
true.
situation was much different. And so, you can't, it's apples and oranges. And then I found it hilarious that the other side made a meme, and they used the same picture of Jesus overlooking Hunter Biden, because Hunter Biden was just convicted,
Yeah.
on 3 counts for the gun trial.
I want
And-
to talk to you about that too.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad you brought that up.
But I find it sad. That's my
Yeah.
response. I find it sad.
I agree. And, people went after me because I called, I said it felt like a Klan rally, and that might be extreme language for some people. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying that everybody that was there is a racist. You know me. I've never categorized all
No.
Trump supporters in one way. But I felt dirty. I felt like these were worshipers, as Mike McDonald said, as Marjorie Taylor Greene said, comparing Trump to Jesus. They look at him as a god. That is a cult.
And then to use the terminology of, we're here to worship him.
Yeah.
You don't worship any person.
Of course not.
That's idolizing somebody.
Right.
And once again, guess what that is? That's also blasphemous.
Of course it is.
Even my 14-year-old son, who heard that statement, he looked at me with wide eyes and went, "Mom, that's blasphemous. He's going to hell."
Yeah.
Like, he better
crazy.
take that back.
It's just that's what it is. It's a cult, and the Trump Bibles and the sneakers and all that other nonsense, Trump condoms and all the other crap that they were
That's
selling up.
disgusting.
It really is. And I wasn't going to go for the main reason. First of all, I don't care what Donald Trump has to say.
Well,
but
and it was a million degrees
That's-
outside. And
right.
what's crazy is you actually read news articles of his supporters who had, been standing out there since the crack of dawn, sweltering heat, and them saying, well, if he can withstand the heat, then so can we for him. And it's like, are you really that dumb? Because he's sitting in an AC room waiting for his AC SUV to pick him up,
Yeah.
to then drive him to where you guys have been getting sunburnt. And then he's going to hang out for an hour or so, call it a day, jump right back into his AC Suburban and go right back into his AC room
Exactly.
and probably have a nice meal while you guys are all still trying to find your car and trying not to pass out.
Exactly. And they think that he was out there in the sweltering heat just
And
like
he was
them.
bitching the whole time
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're 100% correct. But these people don't think like that. These people, meaning the MAGA cult, they don't think like that. They think,
And he had no solutions to the problems.
right.
It was just
bitching and
constantly
complaining. Yep.
complaining.
Right.
We know what the problems are. We can feel it. It's
Sure.
awful. There's tons of problems.
And I know, and we've talked about this before, I know that you're a lifelong Republican. I know that, at least you've said to this point, you're not voting for Joe Biden. I
I'm
get
not telling you who I'm voting for. How
Okay.
about that?
that's fair. But at one point, you were a staunch Donald Trump supporter. You're
Well,
and-
you know what's so funny
Yeah.
is actually when I first started out, I had Senator Rand Paul, who's a great man. He had asked for my endorsement, had one of my daughters lead the Pledge of Allegiance for his announcement, which was here in Nevada.
Mhm.
And I said, I just need to hold off. I got to see who else jumps in this race. And he understood, and it was good. It was cordial. And then you had Carly Fiorina, who I knew probably didn't have a chance, and you know what?
who Trump attacked her on looks.
Yes,
I remember that.
yes.
Yep.
But I thought to myself, this is a professional, exceptional woman. It would be a shame if I didn't at least participate to some level and try and learn from her. And so I supported her. And then after she dropped out, then I supported John Kasich, who most Republicans,
He's done this show before.
find him
Yep.
to be, ultra moderate and whatever.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking, who would be able to have crossover appeal?
Right.
Right. And so I knew soft Democrats would appeal to him. So I'm thinking long game, not short game, like which most
Yep.
primary voters do.
Right.
Whether if you're far left or far right, those are your primary voters,
Yep.
unfortunately.
Yep.
And so I caucused for Kasich, and I was ripped, for doing it
Right.
by the people in my party. And then it came time, okay, our nominee was going to be Donald Trump. And so I got in line like a good soldier, and I won by a landslide to become a delegate. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be a delegate for Trump. Let's get on board. Let's learn about this guy. I actually liked Ivanka, his daughter, more than I liked him.
Mhm.
And so I was excited to hear her speak at the convention. But that's truly my journey. And so then when my husband was running for office, we had him come visit. He came and he visited. He supported Danny in that race. And then the church that I attended when I lived in Las Vegas, my son attended the private school. And of course, we would go to Sunday service.
Right.
Well, I helped facilitate his visit. And they were both very successful. And my interaction with him one-on-one was phenomenal. You would thought, this guy's a normal dude. You know, he's fist bumping me in church. He's clapping. He's participating. He's talking to my kids. Just a normal guy. But then every time he would go in front of the public, he would transform into this horrible human being that would just mock the hell out of everything and everyone. And was some of it funny? Sure. But was all of it? No. And I'd had this conversation with a friend of mine who's a national reporter, and he pointed out to me and said, you know, what if, because for most people, they get nervous and they transform into a different personality when they're in front of large groups of people. He goes, it's the opposite. He does that when he's one-on-one, and it's phony when it's one-on-one. When he's in front of the public, that's his real persona. That's what he thrives off of. That's who he really, truly is. And I thought, oh, that's really gross.
Yeah.
That's gross.
And a lot of people feel the same way there. But now we're at the point where, there are plenty of Republicans. And I want to play you one clip of one. And I wish he was more outspoken. I wish Paul Ryan was more outspoken years ago.
I like Speaker Ryan.
But
I had really great encounters with Speaker Ryan when he was in the
he seems
House.
like an okay guy. But I wish he was saying years ago what he said today. But I want to get to this audio. This is Paul Ryan. And this is Ryan talking about why he refuses to vote for Donald Trump. And, I find it to be not surprising, but disappointing that I didn't hear more from Paul Ryan years ago. But have a listen to this.
I think it really is just character at the end of the day. And the fact that if you're willing to put yourself above the Constitution, an oath you swear when you take office in federal office, whether it's president or a member of Congress, you swear an oath to the Constitution. And if you're willing to suborn it to yourself, I think that makes you unfit for office.
So there you go. That's Paul Ryan on Fox News destroying Donald Trump. What do you make of that?
Well, I guess it's better late than never, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we still have how many months until November? I think we're probably in the same boat because, he didn't sit there and say, oh, I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I feel like in his response, he too probably feels like we're all in our own island. What are we doing? We're just hanging out on a raft, floating, looking for land. At this point, where are we going to go? Where are we going to paddle to? Well, I don't know. And it's unfortunate, and you didn't have to like everything that Speaker Ryan did. But as a person, once again, my personal interactions with him and my gut and my intuition, and a woman's intuition usually is pretty good at reading.
Yes,
folks, if you feel comfortable,
unless you're any of Donald Trump's ex-wives.
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. Or if you feel uncomfortable, well, they also had other intentions.
That's
I'm
true.
sure of getting involved.
Very true.
But yes, I always had great interactions with him, so I think he's a really good person.
Why didn't we hear this from him years ago?
I don't know. I maybe he thought things would just kind of smooth themselves out eventually.
Mhm.
But I think the panic is that Joe Biden is a concern, and so I don't know if people were anticipating that big of a concern to be happening. I think they thought maybe he would be able to walk through this next election easier than the way it's panning out. So now people are feeling, well, shoot, I better speak up quick because I can't do this again.
Right. Well, listen, better late than never.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Paul Ryan is calling him out. I'm glad that there are the Chris Christies and the Mitt Romneys and people like you and Adam Kinzingers and Liz Cheney's who I disagree with on policy, but I certainly have respect for. It seems like slowly but surely there's more and more Republicans that are coming forward like yourself. I'm not saying they're all in for Joe Biden, but they just refuse to vote for Donald Trump, and I have a lot of respect for that. Even a guy like a John Lee who comes here in studio.
John's a really good guy.
Who, by the way, won last night.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he endorsed Donald Trump, but I know he was hesitant to do so. He's not a Trumper. But I have respect for John Lee, and I understand that if you're a Republican, sadly, running for office, if you don't endorse Donald Trump, you have little to no chance to win. So I do understand that. But I also respect anyone
which all has to do with being bullied, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. I do want to get to you, get to you about the elections. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Hunter Biden verdict. We're going to do that when we come back. And coming back, somebody who I find very similar to you in a lot of ways. His name is Joe Walsh. He's a former presidential candidate. He's on CNN almost every night. He's a former congressman, staunch Republican, doesn't recognize his party anymore, used to be all in for Donald Trump. Oh,
So
no
maybe
longer.
we can share a raft.
Maybe we can.
Yeah.
For the viewers out there that are listening, this couldn't come at a worse time because trust me, my listeners would much rather look at you, Amy, than look at me. Unfortunately, we're having some technical difficulties with our second camera, so we're going to try to get that worked out on the break.
Sounds
Because as
good.
I said, all my listeners would rather look at you than me. I'm pretty confident about that. But before we take a break, I do want to show you my new shirts are out here. I'd like to model it for you. Not that I'm a model. Don't be a right-wing buffoon with my picture. And on the back, it's got a little bit of pushing the limits, my logo and all that.
What are you wearing on your head? Is that
This?
No, in the picture.
What am I wearing on my head?
Oh,
Same
it's the
hat.
hat. Okay,
Exact
it's the
same
hat.
hat, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't see from this angle.
Yep.
Okay, I see. I get it.
So you can go on pushingthelimits.live and buy these shirts. I'm really excited about it. So you can check that out. And Joe Walsh is going to be joining us next. We're trying to fix this camera issue so you can see the beautiful Amy Tarkanian other than myself. I think everyone would rather see that. And we'll talk a little bit more when we get back. And I'm going to also play you some Fox News hosts later on, what they said after the Trump verdict compared to what they said after the Hunter Biden verdict. Amy, it's hilarious. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back. We'll try to fix these technical difficulties. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Tired of the same old date night? Craving a deeper connection with your partner? O-Box is your escape into a world of romance and passion. Each month, discover a box filled with personalized surprises, exciting activities, and a love story written just for the two of you. Ignite desire, share laughter, and make memories that last a lifetime. Your O-Box journey accumulates into a beautiful love novel. Ready to write the first thrilling chapter? Let the O-Box adventure begin. Visit our website, obox.com. That's OBOXXX.com and get started.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Organized crime and law enforcement, we put in the work to get to the bottom of some of history's most intriguing tales, exploring the age-old dichotomy of the good guys versus the bad guys. Located in the heart of downtown Las Vegas, the Mob Museum is an immersive experience, exploring the ongoing power struggles between organized crime and law enforcement from the mob's origination to today. Located at 300 Stewart and 4th Street, themobmuseum.org. Let's have a sit-down.
Check out our newest store in town, A1 Dollar Store. We have the largest selection from kitchenware, utensils, accessories, bedding, cleaning supplies, hardware, decorations, and over hundreds of brands for you to shop for. Our address is 3455 South Durango Drive, Unit 101, Las Vegas, Nevada 89117, across the Desert Breeze Park. Give us a call at 702-268-8105 and stop by today to get more value for your buck.
Get ready for the hottest show of the summer. Thomas and Mack Center presents the Fall Back in Love Comedy and Music Jam on Friday, June 14th at 8 p.m. Starring Brandy, Bryson Tiller, Omarion, Mario, Kelly Bright, Lloyd, Eric Ballinger, and Bobby Valentino. And comedians Michael Blackson, Lil Duval, Brandon T. Jackson, Conceited, Justina Valentine, and Zoe Penty. For more information on tickets, call 702-221-1200. That's 702-221-1200. Be there.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. We got the former Republican chair, Amy Tarkanian, in the house. Maybe God is saying we don't want to show Amy on camera today. She looks beautiful, but we're having some technical issues with our second camera. We'll try to get that figured out, Amy. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Maybe she's involved. Maybe George Soros. I don't know.
I should have worshipped Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you should have. But besides Amy, there are others out there that used to be Trumpers, and they are on the opposite side right now. And the guy joining us right now, friend of the show, love having former presidential candidate and former Chicago Congressman Joe Walsh. I love his commentary on CNN. And Joe, kind enough again to join us on PTL. Joe, it's a pleasure to see you, my friend. How are you?
Brian, great to be with you. Let me sound like a politician. I'll lie out of my teeth. Amy, you look beautiful, even though I can't see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
But you really do look beautiful.
Thank you.
I love it. I love it.
You should see the gown I'm wearing.
Oh, my God.
I dressed up just for you.
I could make a joke and say, Amy, put your clothes back on. But that would be a horrible joke. Anyway, Joe, thank you so much for joining us, Joe. You know, it's incredible. I don't know if you saw any of the videos that were circulating on social media, Joe, but millions of people saw some of my videos where I'm doing an interview with Newsmax, and I'm at the Trump rally in Vegas the other day, and I say it's a cult, and it felt dirty. It felt like a Klan rally, and boy, you had so many Trumpers coming after me for that. I mean, what do you make of that?
Kudos to you for doing what you did, Bri. Look, you know me, and again, we could have fun with this all day long. I come from that world. I voted for Trump in 2016. I come from the world of MAGA. I do my damn best, Brian, every day on TV, radio, wherever I am, to go after Donald Trump because I think he's an un-American traitor. And I do my damn best to not go after Trump supporters. I'll call them out on stupid stuff like I'll call out anybody. But I do my best to distinguish between him. I think he's evil. And maybe, Brian, it's my own fault because I was in right-wing media and I used to inflame these people. But these are people who have been lied to every single day by Trump, Republicans, and right-wing media people. So I have a soft spot.
Amy, you come from the same cloth. You and Joe have a lot in common. Do you agree?
True.
You agree with what Joe just said?
Yes, I do. So it's interesting because depending on the network you turn on, and if you have that on all day, every day, 24/7, then that's most likely what your thought process is going to be. And it's unfortunate because, you know, I do live in a county that has a large amount of retired individuals, and they do just keep it on all day.
Right.
And so when I have to break things down, they look at me like I'm speaking Chinese. And so I have to say, no, you know, there's another side. You need to go and do a little bit of research.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just believe what Jesse Waters is telling you.
No, you can't.
Because that guy's a schmuck, number one.
Yeah, there's plenty of them on Fox News, Amy. You're right.
But you know what, though? I've been around long enough that I'm able to decipher between the honest and good ones and the ones who truly try.
But you and Joe are very intelligent people, educated people. There's a lot of people out there that are brainwashed.
And it's just or that they don't even blink about making, you know, turn it into just entertainment value.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with both of you. So Joe,
and by the way, Brian, I'll just add this quickly.
Sure.
Look, I'm no dummy. Our job this year is to defeat them, plain and simple. But then after this election, we have to begin to heal as a nation. And we can't just say, I'm going to write off 45, 46% of this country. We'll never heal as a country if we do that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Joe. What do you make of the reaction from the Republicans after the Hunter Biden verdict as opposed to the verdict in the Donald Trump trial? I mean, it's like opposite ends of the spectrum, right?
But it's like Hunter Biden is found guilty and right away out of all Republicans, because they thought he wasn't going to be found guilty, and they were but then they quickly got back up on their horse and said, well, this guilty verdict, Joe, because I heard this hundreds of times yesterday, this is just a distraction. The Justice Department did this on purpose so that we wouldn't look at the bigger crimes that Hunter and his dad committed. So that's the conspiracy.
Yeah, and Charlie Kirk was certainly one of those people on social media, and many, many others as well. There's no doubt about it. We were just talking, Joe, about Paul Ryan. Me and Amy were just talking about him. What do you make of him, lately going after Trump? I'm not going to support Trump. What do you make of him talking about this now and keeping silent when Trump was president for the most part?
Can I give you bad Joe and good Joe?
Sure.
Here's bad Joe. And I served with Paul Ryan, and I didn't like him because I found him to be just a weenie. Here's bad Joe Walsh. Damn it, Paul, where the hell you been? You kept your freaking mouth shut while that guy was president. Then you go on Fox News board, you slink away and resign. Then you go on, join Fox News. You still don't call him out while all of us are getting our heads beaten in publicly going after Trump. You sit there on the Fox News board and don't say a damn thing about him. Now you finally come out and say you're not going to vote for him, but you still won't vote for Joe Biden, the only guy who can beat him this year. Good God, Paul. Brian, here's good Joe Walsh. Hey, Paul, brother, from a former colleague, love you, man. Welcome. Welcome to the resistance. Thanks, Paul.
I kind of like the bad Joe.
See, and
Joe.
I like the good Joe.
I knew
Right,
Amy was going to like the good Joe.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to do here, and I respect the heck out of both of you. Both of you know that. Amy is not supporting Donald Trump either, but I've never, and this is her decision, but Amy has not said publicly that she will support Joe Biden. So, Joe, here's what I want you to do. I want you to talk to Amy.
Oh, you.
Joe, I need you to talk to Amy, who's a wonderful person, by the way.
By the
Both of
way,
you are-
Amy, you no longer look beautiful to me. You're no longer beautiful to me.
Hey.
Joe, talk to Amy for me. She's a lovely lady, very intelligent. I have a ton of respect for her, but she will not vote for Joe Biden. Joe, I need you to talk to her for me.
So I'll do it right now, Brian. Again, look, there are so many of these Republicans who I just want to punch in the face because they won't say it. Amy, that will never be you. So
Okay.
all I would do is just ask a simple question, Aim. Like, is Donald Trump unfit to be president?
Yes.
Is he kind of a threat to our democracy?
Yes.
Well, there are going to be two people on the ballot this year that one of these two will be president. So, and thank you. If you believe this one guy is unfit, why wouldn't you vote for the only person who can keep the unfit threat to our democracy out of the White House? That's all.
First of all, now we sound like long lost friends because you called me Ames.
Aim, you will be aimed to me from now on.
Okay. Well, the concern is not Joe Biden's age, because that's an unfair attack. My mother-in-law just turned 90 and she's a university regent and she is sharp as can be. So I disagree with that argument. But I am concerned, though, with the cognitive decline. Now, hear me out. So what I feel is what's going on is you have somebody in Trump who has some pretty good policy ideas, but he surrounds himself with morons who don't know how to implement them.
But aim.
Hold on,
Aim. I don't care about any of that because you said he's unfit and a threat to our democracy. Nothing else. I know that.
I'm struggling. I'm hoping that you can come and pull my raft ashore because I feel like
you know what, Brian? That's what it's going to take. I got to come to Vegas and hold Amy's hand. and I'll do it.
And then on the other side, you have President Biden, who I don't agree with, on a lot of issues, but he surrounds himself with competent people who know how to get across the finish line. Now, I may not like that finish line, but they do it. They're able to accomplish it. So it's a big difference. So, then you've got, and I know, please don't laugh, because you still have the third option of Kennedy, and he's not going to win. But I've heard so many people who say, I can't stomach those two. I'm going to look at this Kennedy guy. And I'm telling you, I'm hearing it more and more and more.
All right, Joe,
Agreed.
go ahead.
No. Look, it's going to take a personal sit down, Bri, an intervention, and I will fly out to Vegas, and AIM will do it. No,
Right.
I get it. To me, and I have this conversation all the time with the Chris Christies of the world and everybody. He's unfit, so then you have to vote for the only guy who can keep the unfit guy out of the White House. If you believe Joe Biden is unfit, and some of them do, then I can see where you'd be conflicted. But to me, it's just a slam dunk. You have to keep the unfit guy out of the White House.
And the other thing that doesn't help, though, is Kamala.
Well, but do you think if Kamala Harris were president in a year, would she be unfit? Even though you and I couldn't stand most of her policies.
No, because she'd still be surrounded by those.
Thank you.
Thank
you. AIM, thank you. We're within the
face.
Absolutely, babe. We're within the 40 yards. They're not
now
unfit.
We're at the babe level. See, we're having drinks now.
Tequila,
So,
Amy.
Are you any steps closer now? Because I think Joe made some very good points there. Are you any closer to possibly voting for Joe Biden than you were before the show started?
Maybe.
Hey,
Good,
Joe.
Stop there, Brian.
I'll take a maybe, Joe.
That's progress.
I'll take a maybe. You on CNN tonight, Joe? With who are you on? Where are you tonight?
I'm on with Acosta tonight. I don't know the time.
I love Mr. Jim Acosta. I miss his reporting. I miss it. No, ma'am, when he holds onto that microphone and he's just going at it with Trump. That guy's got some guts. I don't know how you feel about Jim Acosta, but I have a lot of respect
My
for him.
absolute favorite CNN reporter is Caitlin Collins.
She's very good.
She's good.
My absolute favorite.
She's
I
very
tune
good.
into her regularly.
But if I had her in studio, the other camera probably wouldn't be working either, I'm sure. But, oh, well, what are you going to do? Joe, you are the best, my friend. White Flag with Joe Walsh, one of my favorite podcasts out there. Who do you got coming up on White Flag, by the way? Who's your next guest?
A guy named Mike Madrid, political expert, who wrote a great book called The Latino Century about the Latino vote. It comes out next week.
Can't wait for it. When you come out to Vegas, you, me, and Amy, we're going out for drinks. And I look
AIM! I love you, AIM!
Love you right back, my
And
friends.
I love Joe. Joe, thanks so much
bye.
for coming on as always, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. That's Joe Walsh, everybody. I love that man. I have a man crush on Joe Walsh. Former presidential candidate and former congressman. Man, he just tells it like it is. He's such a smart guy. And
you know what though?
Yeah.
I liked the good Joe. I liked the good Joe.
I
liked the honesty of the bad Joe. And then I liked that he finished it up with the good Joe.
Yeah. I would never make a terrible joke on this show, but Amy, you did say that you don't necessarily would like it if Joe Biden crossed the finish line. That's the thought that Stormy Daniels had when she was hanging out with Donald Trump. But I would never make a joke like that because that would be so inappropriate and so terrible.
And
all
so
right,
not you.
Yeah, so not me. I would never make a joke like that. All right, so Amy, here's what I want to do. First of all, we need to get this camera working. So we need to kind of reset our systems a little bit here. And when we come back, we will take some phone calls at 702-221-7283, 702-221-7283. If you're just joining us, Amy Tarkanian, you can't see her, you can hear her. We're having some technical difficulties, but she's the former Nevada State Republican chair. There she is right there. We can move the first camera so you could see her now. Yes, she is here.
I'm truly here.
I'm not making it up. We'll get the other camera working. But when we come back, besides taking phone calls, here's what I want to do. I'm going to play you some audio, Amy, of some Fox News hosts, analysts, whatever you want to call them, their immediate reaction after the Trump trial compared to their immediate reaction after the Hunter Biden trial. I want to get your thoughts on that when we come back, if you can stick around.
I feel like this is going to be a game show.
It might be a little bit, but
Okay.
It is interesting. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. The phone number, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283. We will take a quick break. We will be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino.